Welcome to Scone Baking Beyond. Hi, I'm Kathy, and I enjoy making scones, muffins, cookies, and all sorts of delicious baked goodies. I love fall with all the wonderful colors of the leaves, and there are pumpkins everywhere. I love pumpkin pie, I love macarons. So I decided to put the two together in my melt-in-your-mouth pumpkin macarons. Not only is there pumpkin pie spice in the macaron cookie, but also in the delicious pumpkin buttercream. So let's bake. When it comes to making macarons, it's important that you always measure ingredients by weight instead of by volume. So you will need a kitchen scale. So let's get started. So I have here 150 grams of powdered sugar, 124 grams of fine almond meal flour, and 1/2 teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice, because these are pumpkin macarons. I'm going to whisk these together until they're totally combined. Now that they're totally whisked together, it's time to put them through a sieve. The reason why you put them through the sieve is make sure you don't have any large clumps, because you don't want any large clumps in your macarons. Okay, there will always be a few little clumps at the end, and that's okay. You can just discard those. We don't need those. So that's our dry ingredients, and we're going to put those aside. Now that our dry ingredients are put together, it's time to put our meringue together. So when you're making macarons, it's important that you use either a stainless steel bowl or a glass bowl or a copper bowl, but don't use a plastic bowl because your meringue will not set up properly. And also we want a whisk in our mixing bowl, so we want to make sure to use a whisk attachment. I have here 100 grams of egg whites, and that's about 3 large eggs. When you measure your eggs and your 3 large egg whites don't quite come up to 100 grams, it's okay to add a little bit of room temperature water to make that 100 grams. So I have 100 grams of room temperature egg whites. I'm going to put that in. And I'm going to put this on medium speed until it just starts to foam up. Okay, it's just starting to foam up, so I'm going to put in 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar. And what the cream of tartar does is it stabilizes your meringue. So I'm just going to put in 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar. And I'm going to start this on low to get that cream of tartar incorporated, and then I'll bring it up to medium-high speed. Okay, now that I start seeing trails in my egg whites, it's time to start adding our 66 grams of superfine or caster sugar. I'm going to add it in very slowly. We're going to turn this on high speed until we get stiff peaks. Okay, let's see how we're doing here. Oh, that's looking good. I think we have it here. So I'm just run the whisk around. Those are stiff peaks. One other way you can tell is you can turn the bowl upside down and nothing comes out. So now we're going to add our powdered sugar almond flour mixture. And we're going to add about 1/3 at a time. And we're going to fold it into our meringue mixture. I'm just going to go around, up and around and down, up and around and down. We're going to fold that in until it's completely combined, and then we'll add the next third. Okay, once it's combined, I'm going to remove 1/4 cup of the mixture. There we go. Put in this little bowl here. There we go. And this little bit will be the stems of our macarons, because we're going to make these macarons look like pumpkins. So I'm going to add about 4 drops of brown food coloring gel. There we go. You actually want to make this darker while you mix it than what it's actually going to turn out to be. Because while the macarons cook, their color is going to lighten up. So you want it to be nice and dark. And I still want to keep that folding method here when I mix this color in. There we go. That looks good. This mixture will make our stems of our pumpkin macarons. So I'm going to set this aside. And back in our mixing bowl here, I'm going to add, probably about 8 drops of orange food coloring gel, because again, these are pumpkin macarons. I want them to look like little pumpkins. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. And again, we want this color darker now because they will lighten up as they bake. So I'm going to continue folding this in until that color is totally combined. And also, I want this to flow like lava. At this point, we don't want to overmix it, and we don't want to undermix it. So we want it to flow off our spatula just like lava. Look at that. And there we have it. It's a nice bright orange. I'm going to put that aside. We're going to take the brown, and I have here a sandwich size Ziploc bag, and I'm going to put that in the bag. And I'm just going to use that as my piping bag for the stems. There we go. And we're ready to pipe. I'm going to cut a 1/4 inch hole in the corner. It doesn't look like much, but it'll make enough stems for our macarons. For the actual pumpkin orange, I'm going to put it in I have here a 16-inch piping bag, and I have a number 10 tip. It's about a little more than a 1/4 inch hole in diameter. And whenever you put your bag in a cup, you always make sure that that tip is going upright. Otherwise, your macaron batter will start oozing out. Make sure that gets in there. There we go. And you always want to fold back the sides of your piping bag, because I get a little sloppy when I put this in. You'll see. Bring that back up. So now we have our stems and our pumpkins. We are ready to go. So I have here my baking sheet, and on my computer I made these 2-inch in diameter little pumpkins, and they're going to be my template. So I have a baking sheet with parchment paper. So I'll put my template down on the baking sheet and my parchment paper on top. And now it's time to pipe them. We're going to try and make them look like pumpkins. And if you don't want to try and make them look like pumpkins, you can just make round ones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around the outline of my template, and then I'm going to go in there again and again, and then back the other direction. There we are. Go around the outside of your template, then go inside of that, and inside of that, and then around the other direction. And now we have the stems. I'm going to cut about a 1/4 inch hole and squeeze all that down. There we go. And now, see if I can do this where you can see it. I'm just going to give it a little dollop. As you can see, some of the stems go to the left and some stems go to the right. There they are. Don't those look great? Look like little pumpkins. So I'm just going to tap these a little bit, because if I tap them too much, you're going to lose some of the ribbing there. So just give them a little bit of tap to get some of the air bubbles out. There we go. That should work. And I need to remove the template. So some of these are getting some air bubbles. So we want to make sure to get all those air bubbles out. So we're going to tap all the air bubbles with our toothpick here. We're going to let these sit for about 30 to 60 minutes and let them dry completely. It's been 45 minutes, and when you touch them, they're nice and dry. So it's time to put them in the oven. I preheated my oven to 320 degrees, and I'm going to cook these for 12 to 14 minutes. Okay, it's been 14 minutes. Our cookies are done. The first thing I want to do is take the cookies and the parchment paper off the baking sheet, because I don't want these to cook on the bottom any more than they already have. Now you're wondering, how do you tell that macarons are done? You go and you wiggle them. And if the top wiggles separate from the bottom, then they're not done. And when you go to wiggle them, they wiggle the whole cookie and the parchment paper, then you know they're done. So these are done, and you always want to, if you're going to make an error, always err on the side of overcooked than undercooked. We're going to let these rest here for about 5 minutes, and then we'll remove them from the parchment paper. So while our cookies are cooling, it's time to get our pumpkin buttercream together. I have here 3/4 cup of canned pumpkin, and what I want to do is I want to get that excess moisture out of that pumpkin, and that'll make for a better flavor of our buttercream. So I have a tea cloth right here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze out as much moisture as I can out of this pumpkin to make 1/4 cup of pumpkin. Yes, that's how much moisture we're going to get out of here. So all I'm going to do is squeeze that out, just like that. And you want to keep on squeezing that until you get 1/4 cup of pumpkin. So I'm going to put that aside because I've already squeezed out some pumpkin, and here it is. This is 1/4 cup of pumpkin that the excess moisture has been squeezed out of. So first thing we want to do is add 1/2 cup of butter and 2 ounces of cream cheese. And I have here 1/2 teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice, because again, these are pumpkin macarons. So I'm going to put this on medium speed and blend it together until it's totally combined and it's nice, light, and fluffy. Okay, it's nice, light, and fluffy, and that pumpkin pie spice is totally mixed into the butter and the cream cheese. So now it's time to add our 1/4 cup of pumpkin. And we're just going to put this on medium speed until it's combined. Okay, now it's time to add 3 cups of sifted powdered sugar. Now I'm going to not add this all at one time. I'm going to add about a cup at a time. There we go. And we're going to start this on low speed so I don't get powdered sugar all over everything. Once it starts getting combined in, it's time to move it up to kneading speed. There's totally combined. Now I have 1 teaspoon of heavy cream. I'm going to add that in there at this time. And just put this on low speed until combined. Okay, now it's time to add the rest of our powdered sugar. Start on low speed again. We're going to put this on medium-high speed until it's light and fluffy. There we go. That looks good. Now if it looks a little bit thick, you might need to add a little bit more cream. So I always have some cream on the side just in case I need a little bit more. Or if it looks a little too thin, you'll need to add a little bit more powdered sugar. So let's see how this looks. Oh, that looks really good. Oh, I can smell the pumpkin pie spice, the pumpkin in there. It smells like having pumpkin pie. That's good. So that looks really nice. Let me get this off of here. Let's get all this off the beater here, because we want it all on those cookies. There we go. So here we have our buttercream. Oh, it smells so good. It's just the right consistency for piping it. So let's move this aside. And I have here a 16-inch piping bag with a number 32 open star tip, because we want to make these kind of fancy. So put that right there. We'll set this aside until it's time to pipe our cookies. Okay, our cookies are totally cooled. I've taken them and I matched them up. Oh, don't they look so cute? The little pumpkin looking. So I matched them up with a top and a bottom. So they're all matched up. And here's our pumpkin buttercream. And get that tip going there. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to just squeeze this out. And because these are a little bit more oblong, I'm going to give them a little squeeze back and forth. There we go. And the last one there. There we go. Put that aside. So now it's time to put them together. So you just put the top on the bottom, give it a little wiggle, but don't press too hard. And you want the buttercream to come to the edges. And that's as far as you want the buttercream to go. And the last one here. There we go. Don't those look so pretty? They look like little pumpkins. They have the buttercream inside. Once we fill these and put the tops on them, it's time to put them in the refrigerator for at least 24 hours so that the flavors get developed in the cookie. So the flavors from the buttercream will blend into the cookie itself. But I can't wait 24 hours. I'm going to try one now. They will make a big mess as that buttercream just going to go everywhere. But I just can't wait. So I'm going to try one. That was a big bite. That pumpkin buttercream just pops with pumpkin flavor. You get the pumpkin pie spice through the buttercream and through the cookie. And just melts in your mouth. You get the crispy outside, the melt in your mouth, middle part of the cookie. Oh, this is so good. This would be a wonderful addition to any Thanksgiving table to have these wonderful pumpkin macarons. These are so delicious and they just melt in your mouth. For the complete recipe, please go to my website, sconebaking.com. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe for future videos. Thank you for watching. I'm going to keep on eating this though.